Hi, it's Dr. Bernstein, the founder and president of Get Yourself into College. And this video is the first in a series that's dedicated to helping you prepare for alumni interviews. Now, the very first thing that you need to know about alumni interviews is that they're so diverse that they're hard to predict. But as someone who has a lot of experience as an interviewee and as an interviewer, I can tell you that the best case situation is one in which you get someone who genuinely wants to have a conversation with you. That is, someone who wants to have a real back and forth exchange of ideas and experiences rather than it just being a situation where you're being grilled and asked one question after another. Or sometimes it's you who's sort of being asked to do the grilling. The best case situation is to have this kind of back and forth exchange and to get someone who really knows how to ask the kind of questions that create this kind of interesting dynamic conversation. What I recommend that you do is do your part in helping to create this ideal interviewing situation. So one of the very best things that you can do is spend some time talking to yourself. That's right, I said it. You should spend some time talking to yourself about yourself. More specifically, you should give yourself some practice being able to describe verbally some specific and vivid anecdotes about yourself that will help the interviewer get a good feel for you and why you're a good fit for the school. So if you're in my Get Yourself into College program and have access to the online modules, you already know how to create these narratives in writing, right? The trick now, though, is to learn how to create a series of sort of mini anecdotes about yourself, mini narratives about yourself that are like 2 to 3 minutes in length. And what I recommend is that you don't sit down and write them, right? Because your interview is a verbal situation. And if you sit down and try to write out your narratives, at least at first, it's likely that when you try to say them, you're going to sound stiff and awkward because you've really written something that's meant to be read, not meant to be spoken. So you've got to sort of talk yourself through your anecdotes and get that practice, and then maybe afterwards write them up if you just want to have them available to yourself, like right before your interview. And you also want to repeat them over and over and over again. I'm definitely not saying that you should memorize them, because if you memorize them, you wind up feeling very attached to them, getting sort of fixed. But if you repeat them over and over again until you feel confident in them, until you really know the feeling of the rhythm of your narrative and the overall structure, that's great, because you want to be open to the actual interview experience with the person that you don't know first. So you want to be open to being able to use these narratives about yourself to answer a variety of questions that might be asked of you. So you want that flexibility. So if you memorize your narrative, oftentimes you just sort of get fixated on it and attached to the script. But if you've practiced it enough times verbally and you know the rhythm, you'll know them well enough, but you'll also have the flexibility to adapt them to the actual interview experience. And also by preparing these narratives, which I'm going to tell you all about in the next couple of videos, but you're going to want narratives about your academic experiences and interests, about your extracurricular activities, about why the school is so attractive to you, why the location of the school is attractive to you, and a whole bunch of other things that I'll tell you about later. It's really by preparing these kind of narratives, you're doing your part to create a good interviewing environment. And I can tell you, when I'm on a hiring committee, there are two bad situations. There are more than two bad situations, but the two that are relevant for us are when we get people who just give very terse, very short answers. Now, some questions really are sort of yes and no, but for the most part, in an interview, people are looking to get a feel for what makes you tick and for your passions and to get a feel for you. And so if you're really, really short in your answers, it's sort of like yeah, you don't have anything more to say about yourself. And the other problem is when you get someone who just goes on and on and on for 10 minutes answering a question that really could be answered fully in 3 minutes. So that's why I emphasize the importance of creating these narratives that sort of have a nice beginning, middle, and end, but that are like 2 to 3 minutes in length, because that's a good amount of time for a response. And another good thing about these narratives is that besides the fact that they give the interviewer a feel for you, is that any good interviewer, any good listener is going to get enough juicy details that they're going to be curious. They're going to ask you follow-up questions. And so this sort of breaks you out of the mold of this stiff interview where someone's just asking you a set of predetermined questions and gets you having a real, genuine discussion. So let's see how that's a way that you can prepare to help create this good situation. So practicing these narratives ahead of time to get a feel for them and to get a feel for the right scope for them is really important. And also, a lot of people, as you know, you're probably one of them, get nervous before interviews. And one thing that happens to a lot of people when they get nervous is that their minds go blank. They feel like they have nothing to say. But if you've prepared enough ahead of time and you've practiced these narratives over and over again, you're going to feel more confident going into the interview. And even if you start getting nervous, even if your mind starts going blank, you've already rehearsed these so many times out loud that you're not gonna go blank. It's likely that you won't go blank. So that's it for now for this first video in this series on how to prepare for alumni interviews for undergraduate college admission. If you like this video, I would love it if you clicked like. If you're interested in staying up to date with all my videos that are coming out on college prep and college admissions, subscribe to my channel so that you can stay in the loop. And at last, but definitely not least, if you want to get your hands on two free sessions from within my online program, just head over to my website, jenniferbbernstein.com, and enter your name and email address in the sign-up box for my college program that's on my homepage, and you'll get virtually instant access to them. So that's it for now. Take care. Bye.